Hey, Dr. Paige here. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how past sports traumas and life adversities impact our sleep. And sleep is so important because if we're not sleeping well, we're not recovering, we're not making the gains that we want to make, we're certainly not playing out our emotions at night, that REM sleep, those dreams. And it's overall probably the number one health and wellness hack, sports hack, biohacking hack that I can absolutely say that we all need to be doing more of is sleeping. And really, within around sleep, we need 8 hours or more. If we get less than 7, it takes us 3 days to recover from that small amount of sleep. And then also, if we get less than 5 hours of good sleep, we have guaranteed neuroinflammation, that's brain inflammation, and gut inflammation. So that's not good either. Considering if your brain is inflamed, it's not detoxing well. And so then you start to worry about in combat sports or contact sports, that whole issue of CTE or the brain not healing and not detoxing properly so that you get that buildup of that tau protein and your brain's just not really recovering at all. And then with gut inflammation, it can be leaky gut where the little junctures break apart and then everything from your intestines starts going into all of your organs, starts to make you have brain fog, starts to cause all different other illnesses that are not good either. So neuroinflammation, not a good thing. Plus, what we know about neuroinflammation within the brain is that certain regions of the brain are no longer communicating with each other. So, any inflammation in the brain can really cause mental illness symptoms to come on. And where there's typically anxiety, there's going to be depression. Where there's an up, there's a down. And so that sports performance anxiety, you kind of sustain having anxiety for a while, but then it can turn into depression. So inflammation is terrible. So one of the biggest things that causes us to not have good sleep over time is sports trauma, which are sports failures, times that you thought you didn't do well, times that you didn't land tricks or didn't perform optimally, times that you were yelled at by a coach or a parent or even teammates for not doing well, injuries, of course, anytime you hurt yourself, surgeries, absolutely, that would be sports trauma as well, having to have surgery from some of those injuries or overuse injuries, or just having to have surgery in general if you were born with scoliosis or something of that nature, or just overuse, like I said, within tendons, ligaments, joints, all of that. The other thing that causes it is life adversities, right? So being bullied, not having friends, being treated really badly when you're younger, teachers or parents or coaches, anyone who said any awful, hurtful things to you, that also impacts our nervous system. And breakups. We've all went through breakups. I don't care how old you are. It always hurts your feelings, makes you feel rejected, all that kind of stuff. Fighting with friends or groups of friends, not feeling welcome on the team, parents getting divorced, parents remarrying and maybe you don't like who your parents remarried, all that good stuff. As well as the loss of grandparents, parents, or pets, or anybody, or friends. I mean, suicide is very prevalent, unfortunately. So the loss of friends can also be a life adversity. And then one of the bigger ones that I don't think that people even look at is if you've had to move. So transitions in your life, like having to move to different town, different coaches, different schools, all of those things can cause trauma to the nervous system. And what this trauma does to the nervous system is we are kind of set in our own homeostasis baseline to begin with. It's kind of our default mode, right? And then every time something bad happens, we will reset our homeostasis to accommodate for that experience potentially happening again. So our body wants us to be on guard in case it happens again, right? So it actually triggers the amygdala, which is a pea-sized organ in the brain, to produce cortisol every time something bad happens. And car accidents, anytime you even see other athletes go through trauma or any trauma that happens, our nervous system, we will freeze and hold on to that shock, try to process it as quickly as we can, because we take in about 4 megabytes of information every second or every day, which is a ton of information. It's like an encyclopedia. So how we're organizing it is based off past experiences. So if it's a cortisol experience, the coach yelling at you, rolling your ankle, losing, pet dying, a car accident where you see something really gnarly happen, our nervous system is shock. We'll sit there in shock and freeze, and our homeostasis will reset to a little more hypervigilant. And then we'll organize that memory into a trauma memory network or memory network associated with a cortisol response. So within and around this cortisol response, as time goes on, we get more and more negative things that happen, right? And negative memories. And so we ramp up our nervous system to a higher homeostasis over and over and over, which is more sympathetic nervous system state, where those trauma responses are a fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, which we all get taught as athletes how to fawn when it comes to watching our parents or watching our coaches or watching our teammates and seeing how we performed and wanting to perform well for them. And if they have a negative response, we're kind of like, oh my gosh, we need to do better, all that kind of stuff. So then that makes us freeze more. But that's where the sympathetic nervous system state is more of a cortisol one, right? So overall inflammation, like I was just talking, neuroinflammation, gut inflammation, just inflammation in general, where we're not making as good of gains as well, because the tear down and rebuild process, we don't want to have an overabundance of cortisol, the inflammatory hormone, right? It really tears down our cells. So it tears down muscle cells, tears down everything. So the more traumas we have, the more we reset up to this sympathetic nervous system way of being, a trauma response. And then when we start to look at our brain waves, that's our beta brain wave. It's like anxious, it's high. And then that's where you start to go out there and you're performing, and you may practice amazing, but you go out there to compete and you feel that body arousal, your body shaking, your legs shaking, heart racing, starting to sweat, or arms get numb or legs get numb. That's that performance anxiety. That's where that's coming from, past negative experiences. And then when we go in to lay down to go to sleep, we're already ramped up. So we can't really drop into that theta and the delta wave, which is that dream state, and more of that parasympathetic nervous system state. So that's our rest and recovery and relaxation. So we stay too ramped up. And so then we're not dropping in and having dreams. Like I said, dreams are very important for us to organize and release emotions at night. And so that makes us more anxious. So our past sports injuries and life adversities impact our sleep and our ability to sleep. And that's how it happens. And that's why it's so important for you to do the altered consciousness state work within and around reprocessing past traumas to fully process them out of your nervous system. So you reset your nervous system to a calmer state. And then you desensitize the nervous system. So when those bad things have happened, you're no longer, when you start to see something that's really similar happening again, like, oh my gosh, they, intercepted the football, this and that, we don't naturally ramp back up into the accessing that trauma memory network and getting into one of those trauma responses and staying in that sympathetic nervous system state, that high beta brainwave. So we desensitize the past experiences in the altered state. And what we do is we just use the bilateral binaural sounds that drop you into an altered state, which is the alpha flow state, where we all want to be, that intuitive, creative, happy space where we perform optimally. But yes, so that is the only way to shift your nervous system and really reset it back to its default mechanism, because that's where we want to be, so that we're sleeping well, so that we're dreaming well, all of those things. And it's really quite simple. In the last 12 years of working with really high level athletes, I've seen in about 10, 12 sessions that an athlete is back to their default, loving their sport, no more performance anxiety, sleeping well, not ramped up anymore, just feeling confident and composed and ready to go when they go out there to play. So that is how sports traumas and life adversities inhibit great sleep in your gains that you're making, and why you must do the alpha imprinting, sports trauma, life adversity, reprocessing, desensitization, so that you will have your best performance and really master your mind, because we are resetting the nervous system and working on a nervous system base. So yeah, comment alpha if you are interested in learning more and to book your 30-minute consult with me so that we can get you started on getting rid of this trauma memory network so that you can truly be the alpha in your sport.